Xbox and PS6 have just started development on their new consoles, and insiders have dug into the hardware tests and details about the power and performance of the AMD chips that will run next generation. And one of these console manufacturers has a surprise that will shock the gaming world. This is Colteastwood. Welcome to the channel. Today we're going to talk about the Xbox Magnus, the next Xbox versus the upcoming PS6. If you end up enjoying this video and learning something, let me know by liking and subscribing to the channel. Hit the bell to be notified, and let's talk about next generation. Xbox and PlayStation are deep in development with AMD for the Xbox Magnus and Project Orion. Supermassive gaming CPU and GPU combinations that appear to be more powerful and highly capable than anyone expected from next gen. But how powerful will each of these be, and how much will they cost? The Xbox hardware team have illustrated that the next generation Xbox will be a PC console hybrid to allow Steam, Epic, Ubisoft, and surprisingly, almost every popular PlayStation game, but most importantly have full compatibility with your current Xbox console library. Project Orion, or the PS6, is designed to give players full fidelity at high PC-like settings at 60 to 100 FPS. Ray tracing and even path tracing, normally reserved for only the highest PC builds, will render realistic lighting on the PS6 that brings game worlds to life with vibrant realism, while reserving plenty of headroom for 60 FPS performance. Let's take a look at the Xbox Magnus SoC first. This is a system on chip that is comprised of a dual chiplet design that will leverage the power of traditional PC and console-like gaming, with a dedicated AI neural processing unit that will work in concert with a workhorse system. The Xbox Magnus is massively improved over current consoles and PC hardware, rivaling the graphics power of an RTX 5090 with incredible rasterization speed. The APU is made up of two chiplets centered on the SoC side by side, a remarkable unique configuration tailor-made for gaming and performance. A 144mm squared die SoC, CPU cores, and a separate dedicated AI engine on the die. 264mm squared die for a total of the entire chip at 408mm square. All of this is running with a modest thermal profile and power output of 250 to 350 watts. Nothing remarkable for power draws for a chip of this size. Let's take a look at the PS6 SoC. Sony's next generation console is built around the AMD Orion APU, a custom chip that blends cutting-edge architecture with power efficiency. According to multiple leaks, Orion is designed to deliver a chiplet possibly utilizing Navi 5. The GPU in the PS6 is close in performance to a current RTX 5080, which is a $1,000 desktop GPU. The PS6 has been leaked, and the specs showcase a much leaner and more power-efficient chip, set to be more affordable to continue the adoption of fans coming up from PS5 to the next PlayStation. The PS6 chip is a 280mm square 3nm SoC, which has 25% less silicon and surprisingly lower powered at 160 watts, a 50% less power draw than the current PS5 Pro, a smaller chiplet compared to the Xbox Magnus. This also translates to possibly being more affordable. The Xbox Magnus SoC is seated on a massive CPU made up of a dual bridge system that uses 3 Zen 6 cores of a 3nm CPU paired with 8 Zen 6C cores, which are also 3nm, making the combined processing power much faster than the upcoming PS6. This gives Xbox Magnus a total of 9 cores with 12 megabytes of L3 cache. This L3 cache will free up system RAM and memory, which is extremely helpful for open world games or games with a ton of enemy AI and logistics. The PS6 is a semi-custom AMD APU built in the 3nm process, much like the Xbox, but features 7 Zen 6C cores and 2 Zen 6 LP cores, a disadvantage compared to the Xbox Magnus with 5 more cores. The PS6 is set up with 52 RDNA 5 compute units for graphics. It's designed to deliver native 4K gaming at 60 to 100 FPS with advanced ray tracing and AI-driven visuals. clock speeds up to 3 gigahertz. All of this adds up to about 18 to 20 teraflops for the PS6 GPU. The GPU in the Magnus is made up of 68 RDNA 5 compute units, a 30% advantage over the PS6. The Xbox Magnus has 4 shader engines. 3 of them have 9 work groups with 2 shader arrays each. 24 megabytes of L2 cache, 5 times L2 than the current Xbox Series X with almost no bandwidth constraints. This will allow faster rasterization and rendering of highly detailed geometry in open world games. Hardware experts see an increase of 150% more pixel rendering and higher quality settings on Xbox next to the PS6. This equates to about 26 teraflops of raw compute across the GPU. But one of the most exciting and cutting-edge future-proof pieces of technology that is powering AMD's Xbox Magnus is the AI-driven neural processing unit, a separate, smart, intelligent imagery refinement and super low latency organic frame rate boost. The Xbox Magnus within itself, according to these raw specs, shows a powerhouse in high performance resolution and frame rate, but the AI NPU, a separate piece on the die, makes up the heart of the Xbox Magnus and will do much of the heavy lifting behind the scenes. This neural processing AI engine with 110 TOPS is a 2 times operating improvement over the Series X. In the AI neural processing unit alone, the PS6 will also use AMD FSR 4.0, a software solution for increasing frame rate and resolution, or AMD's supported PSSR 2.0 from PlayStation. But software upscaling is seeing improvements, and by 2027, PSSR 2.0 will resolve sharp imagery and motion to boost frame rates over 25%, while holding a native appearance of 4K at the highest clarity with complicated geometry and layers. FSR 4 or PSSR 2.0 will give you 8 times more clarity and performance than the PS5. Definitely a next generation jump, but roughly 25% less performant compared to Xbox Magnus. But most importantly, especially in next generation, the PS6 will have 5 to 10 times more ray tracing compute power, which currently on the PS5 is only available on balanced or 30 FPS gameplay modes. This should equate to real-time, full-quality ray tracing lighting and reflections at 60 and 120 FPS on modern open-world games, exchanging the full 4K 120 for higher quality settings and lighting models at 4K. The memory pool array that surrounds the Xbox Magnus is made up of a 192-bit memory bus with 48 gigabytes of GDDR7 RAM in a shared memory pool. This is 3 times more RAM, in a generational leap in GDDR7 over the current Xbox Series X. Expect much more detail on screen, a cleaner and more refined rendering process, which is absolutely essential on large 4K screens. The PS6 is set with a next-generation memory array of 32 gigabytes of GDDR7 RAM, a 100% increase on current gen and the most expensive component in the PS6, with a 160-bit memory bus compared to Xbox's 192. This allows the Xbox hardware to move far more data faster simultaneously, which is vital for open-world games. Both consoles will offer more than adequate RAM, with the PS6 hosting 10 megabytes of L2 cache on the array. The Xbox Magnus is notably faster and more powerful than the PS6, with 25 to 33% more performance, equaling millions of more pixels, higher settings overall and better frame rates, and higher quality in ray tracing. The Xbox Magnus will be able to leverage the onboard AI hardware, as the PS6 will utilize software-based implementations of AI upscaling and frame rate interpolation. All of this will be worth it because Sony plans to offer a no-frills gaming-only device with full compatibility with PlayStation 4's library and the PlayStation 5, which includes well over 6,000 games. But the PS6 will likely be the final entry in the physical-based media console with an optical disc drive. Insiders have leaks that point to the detachable disc drive coming forward to the PlayStation 6, as Sony will only have to change the exterior form factor and continue to sell the same drive. Even PlayStation's customers are 80% digital in the market, so this may be the last time you can hold on to your physical media starting next generation. If you're an Xbox fan, you could say goodbye to using your physical discs. It's very likely that Xbox will not support physical disc-based media next generation. But there is more to next generation than just the console. PlayStation and Xbox are working on native gaming handhelds. The custom AMD AI Xbox Magnus chip is designed and planned for a lower spec version. The Magnus chip will use yield rate cores that are binned for multiple tiers of chips, from high performance to minimum performance. Xbox's hardware team has planned to bin those lower yield chips for the native Xbox handheld. It is recently reported that Xbox is still planning to develop and release the native first-party Xbox handheld, which will play all of your console games and all of the PC games, which will be a major step up from the current Xbox ROG Ally X. With a fully next-generation hardware set and the bespoke architecture that will allow you to play all of your games with no compromises. Expect the Xbox handheld to release sometime in the early part of the generation and to be just as expensive as the ROG Ally Xbox. PlayStation is also designing their own native handheld, and this is one of the reasons for the lower power profile of the PS6, to create a variant SKU that can be adapted to the next generation PlayStation handheld. This will be a next generation device fully compatible with the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and PS6 generation of games. The PlayStation 6 handheld will use a scaled down AMD APU that will target 720 to 1080p gameplay and will rely heavily on PSSR 2.0 AI upscale and performance software to make modern games look and run great when they're unplugged on a handheld screen. Expect the PlayStation handheld to launch with the PS6 in 2027 and to be very expensive. Let's talk about the cost of the next generation consoles. The Xbox Magnus is first and foremost an Xbox product made by Xbox's in-house hardware team. But this console will not be cheap. Experts are expecting Xbox Magnus to come in at least $800 to $1,000. The Xbox Magnus is set to make a profit at launch and not be subsidized by software or services. Xbox knows this, and they also know the amount of sold units by the end of the generation will probably land somewhere around 10 to 20 million units. This is Microsoft and Xbox's last chance to serve a niche console market. The PlayStation 6 could cost as low as $600. But looking at the increase in RAM and silicon upgrades, even with a lower power draw, PlayStation has already set the baseline console price at $750 with the current PS5 Pro. And with Xbox no longer being a direct competition in the market, PlayStation has no reason to shave their margin of the PS6. Giving you strictly the access to console games, Sony is betting on flexibility and ecosystem cohesion. If the leaks hold true, PS6 could be the most forward-thinking console Sony has ever released. Not just a spec bump, but a strategic pivot, albeit at a high premium price. It's very likely that the PS6 will be priced at around $700 to $800. Xbox and PlayStation both plan to offer multiple ways to play across console, handheld, and even PC, and the support of handhelds for gaming on the go, native, or on the cloud. All of this will be expensive. To keep up with trending hardware power profiles, devices like this will be expensive, but it is all set to be revealed sometime in 2026. The PlayStation 6 will likely be the most popular console, and Xbox Magnus will help form the future of gaming beyond the box. And it all starts in 2027. This is Colteastwood. Thank you so much for checking out this video. If you've been here a while and you haven't heard of this information, write in the comment section, Lukather. I've talked about the PS6 and Project Orion and the Xbox Magnus next generation, which we'll see debuted sometime in 2026. And it's exciting because this generation has been fantastic, full of tons of games, and the hardware has done pretty well to give us performance and great visuals, but we're always looking forward to the next best thing. If you ended up enjoying this video, let me know by liking and subscribing to the channel. Hit the bell to be notified of new weekly content. If you want to further support what we're doing here on the channel, you can do that by hitting the join button below. That'll get you early access for videos, monthly merch giveaways, and so much more. We also have a Discord if you want to talk about gaming or play games together. There's so much to do. Thanks for all your support. Also, check out the Patreon if you'd like to join the superclass. I've got over 20 years of production, design, and outreach experience, and I can help content creators like yourself do this, live streaming, and graphic design, and so much more. Also, check out the X&C podcast, which runs every Monday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. There we'll talk about all of the gaming news, break down more info as it rolls in. That's a live show. It's also on demand on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Let me know what you think of the PS6 and Xbox's console hybrid PC. Are you deciding to go to PC, or do you want that traditional, restricted, exclusive box that PlayStation is going to offer? I think next generation is going to be really exciting. Let me know what you think in the comment section. And as you do that, as I always say, please be nice.